All right, guys. Wow, I made it by the skin of my teeth. I am on and I am ready to go at 10 o'clock. This is great. And the topic for today fits well with what my morning has been like. Hey, Jill, glad you're on. Hopefully Sheila will hop on in a minute too. I didn't even have time to text my team and let them know that I am going live because of my busy morning. Now, the topic for today was looking at what's holding you back, what's keeping you from pursuing those one-day dreams. And my morning has definitely kind of laid the groundwork for this, because not every day is perfect. Not every day is rainbows and unicorns. And oh my, today has been a busy day already. And I want to lay out, what we're doing, but then how to make that switch and how to get out of that chaos and reaction mode. Hey, David. Hey, Jennifer. So let me just tell you what happened this morning, just as a quick briefing here, because I had everything laid out. I had, my husband was going to take the kids to get a dental assessment done, and I was going to stay back and do my Facebook Live, and everything was going to run smoothly. This morning I wake up and I get a note that I'm needing to do some revisions on a webinar, and I poured over that, which was supposed to take 30 minutes. It takes me 2 hours. 2 hours of pouring over that. Then I get a call from the dentist who was not able to get us in for teeth cleanings until 2 months later, which we're not going to be here because we travel full time. So then I get a call, can you be in 30 minutes for a teeth cleaning? And then I see I've got to go to a chiropractor tonight, and it makes sense for me to go now. So we drop everything, we get in the car, and I'm trying to cram in dropping kids and husband off to get teeth cleaned on top of me running over to the chiropractor. And thankfully they hopped in, they adjusted me, and I'm sitting in the parking lot at the chiropractor's office now. My morning has been frazzled and hectic, and I've been up since 5:30 running like crazy. And I know that there are others of you who can completely relate to that. And sometimes we become a victim of circumstance because we're constantly reacting to what's going our way or what's being thrown at us, especially when you have kids. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what moods are going to be when they wake up. You don't know if somebody's going to be sick or if a babysitter cancels. I used to have those situations where I would have something planned, and then I have a babysitter that shows up late or just flat out bails on me, and all of a sudden I'm trying to juggle the kids when everything was all laid out perfectly. We have those in our lives. And so what do? We're like, oh my gosh, we're frazzled. Well, eventually we're going to get to vacation. Eventually we're going to go do something else, and we're going to be able to relax and to enjoy things and to take a deep breath. My dad had a client recently. No, where was it? I can't remember where I read it, but it was talking about how it was some one coaching application or a client or somebody that was coming in who was saying that they were dreaming of when they would get sick again, because then they would be forced to actually rest. You think about that. Like, oh man, it'd be so nice to just crawl into bed. Well, if you're sick, you're miserable, but there are people that are even wishing that they were sick just because it's an excuse to check out, to relax, to recharge and reboot. Well, we don't need to have that excuse to make it happen. I mean, we need to look at what we can do now to create those times of rest and ease in our lives, because it's not just about balancing everything perfectly. Sometimes we know we have to push really hard. Work is really intense, or we have a demanding child because of an illness or whatever situation, or you've got a house closing and you're moving. I mean, there are times where our lives are completely out of balance. We're super focused in some area because we have to, and that's okay. We can do that, but we need to look at how we can still allow some relaxation and some rest. So this week in the Facebook group, I put a question in there. I said, what does vacation mean to you? Is it rest and relaxation? Is it escaping from reality? Is it a break? Is it exploring a new place or having an adventure, or something else? And my favorite quote is by Seth Godin, who says, instead of Instead of dreaming of when your next vacation will be, why don't you create a life you don't want to escape from? I mean, how powerful is that? So when I asked this question, my Aunt Jeannie, she responded, it's spending time with family and friends, learning and relaxing. It's enjoying great conversation, opening our minds to new ideas, and finding ways to use those ideas, whether playing or exploring. And then my friend Holly, she wrote, she does a great job even on her blog talking about how to not wait for one day, because she was one of those ladies that was pining away for when retirement would happen. And then she got that aha moment of, why am I waiting to enjoy my life at retirement? Why can't I do it now? So she's done a great job of laying out a lot of things, especially on the financial and goal setting focus in her blog, hollyshare.com. She says, first, we don't vacation, we travel. Vacation seems like something sacred and guarded that you only get to do once in a while. How is it defined? Is it only over a week, or does it have to be out of state? We just don't connect with that word, so we don't use it. So what is it about travel that gets me so fired up, that gets me out of bed every day before the sun so I can beat all the tourists to the state parks? I'm not entirely sure, and I'm dying to figure it out so I can work it into our normal lives. I love change and new places, exploring and adventures, being really active. There's usually also water, and she goes on, she tends to read more. It's the ability to shut down the normal day-to-day, disconnect, spend lots of quality time with my spouse, and read more. So because she tore 3 books on a solo camping excursion. So I wanted to read those because, you know, what does your idea of vacation look like? Now, for us, we have been on the road for over 18 months now, and we have been traveling full time. We started out with a 90-day family road trip, which, of course, I have a course on that exact topic. That was the webinar I was working on this morning, was finalizing one on how to take a family road trip without going broke or crazy. So I will be highlighting that soon. That will all be out and about and be shared on Facebook and social media. But we started with that 90-day road trip to sea. But before that, before we ever got to the point of launching and everything else, we had to address, how do we take our one-day dreams and make them happen now? And I want to give you 3 tips to make that happen. And those 3 tips, the first one that I want to talk about is creating a family vision. So often we have these dreams of what we think our family is going to be, what we think our marriage is going to look like, what our family is going to look like. And we spend those times, you know, writing a business vision and mission statement and everything to lay out what a business looks like. But how often have you actually sat and done that in your home? And this is something I have talked about before. But so this is something that, and hey, Aaron, I just happened to see your comment about being deaf. And the good thing is, when this goes up, we can always subtitle it, so you will be able to access it later. I do know sign, but I can't sign and talk that fast. I'm not that skilled yet. Anyway, with the family vision, sometimes we don't ever take that time to do it with our family, to really say, this is what we want family to look like. And you can do this with your small children. And Sheila's going to post a link in here to a blog that I've talked about the family vision statement. And I've talked about how to create a family vision and how to lay it out for your family. And what we did for our family is, and on that page, there also is an action step where you can get access to a video series where I really break down how to create your own family vision. And it's a free email series. It's about 5 videos, and it's really helpful to kind of dig in a little bit more. But the Cliff's Notes version here is simply brainstorming, brain dumping, not just think about what your goals are. What do you want to do? What's on your bucket list? What things do you really want to do and dream of doing with your family? And then I want you to unpack it even more and go to, what's the feeling behind that goal? What does that feel like? Is it, I want to travel because I want to feel, and this is me personally, you know, I want to travel because I want to feel that sense of awe. I want to feel that that time where it just stops. Like, time stops because you're so present in the moment. you go to the Grand Canyon and you look out and you're not thinking about what to cook for dinner and, you know, what all is going on at your house. You are just looking at the magnificence of the Grand Canyon. You are present in that moment. And that feeling of being so wrapped up in the beauty of what is and what is all around me, that was something that was very big that I wanted to have in my home. So I looked at ways to make that happen. So first go with what your dreams and your bucket list items are. Then break it down. Start putting adjectives to it. Start putting, you know, awe, wonder, focus, happiness, joy, peace, calm, relaxation, intention. Look at what words are going to make sense for you and for your family that you feel really fits that. And then we're going to do a brain dump. Imagine and come up with ideas with your kids and start to lay out, what does family look like? Draw pictures, create something. And from there, you can then boil it down to a family vision. For us, we have small children, and a lot of you do. And so we didn't want something that was a lengthy, you know, paragraph that we were all trained to memorize. Now, my mom did, and she had a whole poem that was in a safe place. People are kind, sarcasm, fighting, backbiting, and name calling aren't allowed. And there was this whole long thing. And she put it in some key places. She put it in the bathroom next to the toilet, and she put it in the front of the refrigerator. What are two places that all family members go to frequently during the day? Those two places. And so I memorized it. For us, we broke it down a little bit more, and what we did is we took we just narrowed it down to 6 words: explore, connect, listen, respect, learn, and love. And those 6 words exemplify all of our dreams, our mission, our vision for our family. It doesn't have to be super complex and complicated, but what the family vision allowed us to do is to get on the same page. Our expectations, which is what the focus of the podcast is, that I will get to today. However, it hasn't happened because life did get crazy for me. So I haven't gotten my podcast, and that's something where, you know, I still struggle with trying to make sure I have everything happen. But having this family vision, I can always go back to what are my main goals? What is critical that we're going to have in our family? The next one there is to put a date on it. Now, what I mean by put a date on it is now you've laid out an idea. You have an idea of what your family wants. You're all on the same page. It's the same expectation. It's the dream as a family of what is important to you as a family, not just the individuals, but coming together so that you all have clear communication. You know what's going on. So then look at those bucket list items. And if there's something that you want to go do, like seeing the Grand Canyon or going on a whale tour or anything else, how are you going to make it happen? Well, like Tony Robbins says, you either make it happen or you make an excuse. It's always going to remain one day until you put a date on it. So put a date on it. I challenge you to do that. Come up with what is your one-day dream. What is something that you hope to do? It may be, like us, RVing the States. It may be that it's a whale tour or the Grand Canyon, or it may just be, I don't know, something random. I mean, hang gliding, or just having a day of doing nothing but sitting on the floor with your family playing drums. I mean, think of whatever this is. What's something that you've really wanted to do? Put a date on it. So make that happen. Our first one that we did, excuse me, our first one that we did was, our big one that we did was we wanted to go to Costa Rica. And it was always this far off thing. You know, we dreamed of going to Africa. And what happened is every time we kind of talked about it, I ended up getting pregnant. I had a baby, or I had a small baby, and where there was always a reason why, until all of a sudden my family that lived in Africa, my brother and sister-in-law, they no longer lived there. And our reason for going to Africa had come and gone. And so here we are, they're in Costa Rica. We wanted to go. We had to figure out how we're going to make this happen. It took putting a date on it. And we booked a date that was a year out. We had a year to plan for it. So we knew that it was going to be coming, and it came closer and closer. But because of us putting a date, we could work backward and start working toward the baby steps to make it actually happen and make it actually come into a reality. And that's a huge one. Once you've done that, once you've created your family vision, you've figured out what it is you're wanting to do as a family, and you've put a date on it, then it goes to the last biggie. And this one is protect your priorities. Now, I've already told you how my morning has become a bit of a mess, and I was a little bit frazzled in last minute. I've already said I haven't even gotten a podcast out this week, and every single week I get a podcast out on Tuesdays. I've not even recorded it, much less edited it. I have failed in this arena today. And that's okay. We have to give ourselves grace. All of us are going to have those moments when we struggle. But if I keep this protecting my priorities as a top thing, it really helps my sanity through the process. I read a book by Gary Keller called The One Thing, and it really helped me to pull back and really focus in on what is the one thing that is the most critical. And so this morning I had to start partitioning out what is the one thing. And that webinar was really something that has been looming over me, and I needed to knock it out. And I feel so much better because I'm thrilled about how the slides have shown up, how my script has gone, and I'm really excited about sharing it with you. So I did do that. I prioritized that. I didn't protect my priorities when it came to my podcast. But the reason I didn't protect my priorities in that is because my bigger priority, the one that goes back to my family vision, is spending time with my family and making sure that they are a priority. First and foremost, as much as I believe in what I am doing with Mama Says Namaste, and as much as I want to get it to you, I have to be the example and practice what I preach. And so I protected my priority, and that was family last night. And family took longer because I didn't want to rush it. And I enjoyed spending time with my brother and sister-in-law while we're in town right now. And it went longer than we had planned, and I was grateful for that time. So I chose to make that be my top priority. So make sure that you know what your priorities are and then hold tight to it. I mean, for Nathan, when he was doing real estate, he would have, real estate, people are constantly pulling at him, calling at him at all days, all times of the day and everything else. But as much as he felt like he was out of control with who's going to call and how quickly he needs to respond, on the flip side, when he's in the middle of a closing, everything stops. Cell phone's off, and he's just focused on a closing. Because when you're in a closing, you're not sitting there texting and responding to all of their clients. Well, when we shifted and we talked about how important family was, he started to create his family time as a scheduled closing. And so he would have his closing time. His closing time meant that was something that was not to be violated in any way. That was precious time that was 100% focus. So we had these closings that were his time to defrag, to take a walk before he came home from real estate, so that he had some time to defrag before the craziness of kids, and he could come in with a little bit refreshed so that he could be more present with the family. That was a closing priority. That was just as critical as one of these big closings that he had. And the same thing happened with, around dinner time. Phones were off. Phones were not at the table. That was just as prioritized. So protect your priorities, not just in a work or business meeting. You're able to do it for that. And crazy enough, many of us are able to completely walk away from everything and walk into a movie theater, and for 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours, be completely unplugged and disconnected. We can do that. We prioritize, and we make time for what is important to us. So those are my 3 big takeaways. And I'm at 10:19 right now because I'm also experimenting, as I'm protecting my priorities, with making some of these Facebook Lives a little bit smaller. I want to have some time, A, so that people can ask questions and I have the opportunity to answer, and B, the fact that all of our time is precious, and I want to have some short ones here to share with you as well. So if you have a question, post it in there, and otherwise, please feel free to share this. My biggies are create a family vision, then put a date on whatever your bucket list dreams are for your family. Put a date so that you know it will happen, and it'll happen before it's too late. Don't sit and wait for one day, because you don't know when one day or if one day will even come. And 3, protect your priorities. Now, if Sheila will post again the Family Vision page, you can go to the Family Vision page and read a little bit more about it. And I will have a call to action at the bottom of it. That's a big button that will say, want to learn more about the Family Vision. And if you click on that, then you can actually get an email video series that will help you in laying out your own family vision. And again, I'll be promoting the webinar about taking a road trip, if that's one of those things that's your bucket list item, and I'll be sharing that. But I want to hear from you guys then. Hop into the Mama Says Namaste group and share what your family vision ends up being like. Get creative with this. Think outside of the box. It doesn't have to be a paragraph. It may be a poem. It may be 6 simple words. Or it may be a picture that just encapsulates everything that you guys deem as important. And it's a word cloud or a random picture that you guys have drawn together as a family. Think outside of the box, and I would love to see what you guys come up with for your families, so that you can really sit there and identify your priorities. And you really are able to bask in that moment to really see how the uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your busy day to listen to this Facebook Live. I so appreciate all of you. Have a wonderful week. Namaste.